about building superhuman level shoulders, or at least above average, okay? Because in life, you're gonna deal with forces, you're gonna deal with speeds, you're gonna deal with all kinds of adventures that might put you into positions where you need to be able to rely on, depend on, and even hang on your shoulders. And we're gonna dive right into it right now. These are training methods that we use for beginners, intermediates, all the way up to advanced, to some of the most incredible levels of strength and skill for over 5,000 people so far. All kinds of folks, all kinds of ages as well. And we're gonna start with something different than hanging. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Hanging, is it the shoulder for pushing? Yes, but we're gonna talk about how the shoulder is constructed to be able to keep your arm actually attached to the rest of your body, and that's a good thing, right? So the shoulder is designed for hanging, and we're gonna get into that in the second phase, but the first phase that I wanna talk to you about is the positions, because all athletic movement begins with your core. And so the first position that we need to understand is this position that you'll be hanging from. And so whenever you lay down and you stretch your hands all the way overhead, and my shoulders are smoked because I just did a bunch of hand balancing, but you want to be able to do a nice long straight line on the floor with your arms overhead and your arms touching your ears. A lot of times people will go and they'll hang from the bar like this, and I can tell they've been hitting the weights because their elbows are not going all the way out straight. Everything is taut in here, and they're actually protecting their shoulder joint subconsciously because they haven't been doing hanging, and they subconsciously know, or they're like the phases of kind of from ignorance to understanding. Have you ever heard of that?
Maybe versions of it, like maybe you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, stuff like that. Or you know enough to be dangerous to yourself and others.
Yeah.
So this is one of those situations. So this is a test, and I want you to use all of these moves that we're going to go through today as tests to see what your ranges are. Okay, not necessarily perhaps a full workout. Again, don't mistake videos for instruction, but kind of self-diagnosis to see where you are. Can you straighten out all the way and have your arms come down in contact with the ground as they're touching your ear? So that's the first stage of this, okay? The second stage is elongating the legs, bringing the ankles all the way together and pointing those feet all the way down. So we're kind of using the body itself without getting even into a dead hang first. And I know that dead hangs are all the rage right now. So we're stretching all the way out like this. From fingers to toes, stretching all the way out, okay? Trying to get your arms on your ears in the position that you would be for hangs, and then putting the ankles together, which a lot of people, whenever they go into moves like hollow holds or arch Supermans and stuff, or even like cat stretches, they're trying to straighten their legs, but their ankles actually flare out. And this is a nuanced understanding of how the body will want to try to find ways to cheat on a subconscious level, and you're not even aware of that. And so whenever you're straightening out, oftentimes the ankles will flare, especially in a cat stretch, like this here. The ankles just kind of fall to the side. Whenever you do this, you want to always make sure that you're pulling the ankles together. And so this is laid out, and you're imagining yourself just hanging from the bar. Now, the first shape that we want to look at is flexing the core to make the lower back touch the ground. Now, what is going to happen whenever you do that? Well, if your core is strong enough, it's going to lift your shoulders off of the ground and start to bend your knees. So that's the first stage. Arms are extended. We're imagining holding the bar, and then we're flexing that lower back and keeping the shoulders pinching the ears. These are positions that we put everybody through. When I remember, just kidding, before we put anybody up on the bars for swings and launches and those kind of things that require shoulder strength. And so that's the first phase, is putting the hands overhead acting like we're grabbing the bar, flexing the core, pinching the ankles, and then we flex the legs so that the only thing on the ground is the lower back. So that's the first position that you have to understand. That's called a hollow hold. So this is a neutral position, and this is if you flex your hands backwards. Like I said, I did a bunch of hand balancing already, so my shoulders are smoked, but this is a handstand position, ideal handstand position. Head is neutral, arms are overhead, hands are flexed back, and then we're pushing all the way through the toes. And then the hang is done in the same way, a neutral hang. That's position 1. Position 2 is that hollow position here. Position 3 is pulling those knees in like this. So this, if you're looking at this, you know, if you flip the video sideways, you'd be able to see all of these positions as you would hang from the bar. And we'll get there in a second. Just chill. So the third one is going to be here, and then extending the legs all the way up. And you can fold in half, and that would be like your V stand. It's really, the shape is usually called a pike. So we have neutral or straight, hollow, then we have our tuck, and then we have our pike folding in half. Now what we're going to do is flip over to the other side. And this is where the ankles will start to flare. So whenever you test yourself, you're going to start to see some of these details. So we're here, arms are overhead. Again, this is the neutral position. So hands are flexed like this for a handstand, and we're straight. Then we have the old Bruce Lee push-ups. So this is neutral. Then we are imagining holding the bar, and then we're going to lift our arms up off the ground and then lift our legs up off of the ground. And so that's an arch shape or a Superman. And so we have to understand all these pieces before we start to go and play on the bars or start doing hanging strength or dead hangs or any of those other really good training methodologies. You want to understand the basics. And these shapes are like just beginning to construct the letters of the alphabet. It's like drawing the line and then making the circle for the lowercase a. So these are just the basic shapes that you have to understand. And when people don't understand those shapes, then they go and put themselves in all kinds of situations that are no bueno. And they end up getting hurt, stuck, frustrated, injured. And we hear that stuff all the time, especially, so I hear a lot of good comments. I see a lot of good comments, I should say. And I want you guys to post your wins and victories in the comments. And then there's also the folks that they're not understanding. And I see sometimes the negative comments. And fortunately, YouTube has a nice filter that people are unaware about or unaware of. And so that automatically just sends most of that stuff down to the abyss. But there are a few sometimes that show up, and I see that and I'm like, man, like, I know that situation isn't good if it's producing that kind of mentality that causes those kind of comments that are directed out towards the rest of the world. So something is, negative happening, and I think to myself, that's a situation that isn't probably going to make progress. And so there's a very, very important emphasis that I place on shifting the mindset and focusing on the positive and having that inward transformation, because that inward transformation leads to the external. And that external is going to be our hangs. So we're going to jump up on the bar here, and we'll just do over grip hang. So oftentimes people will go into a wide grip like this because they're so used to doing, the bodybuilder cross the legs like a caveman and pump right here like this. That's not how we want to do things. I don't mean to make fun of stuff, but you know what? I often say stuff about my Planet Workout. You guys know what I'm talking about. But I actually like that business a lot. It's like really clean. Our business model is completely different. I was thinking about that. You remember talking about that, Adam, the other day? Like, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that that popular gyms have a reverse kind of business model where they want to have as little of their members as possible actually using the place, and then they charge cheap, and so they'll have 10,000 people on the books, but like 1% of people actually show up. I flipped that. I want to see everybody every day training. So anyways, so we don't want to use like typical mainstream methods like this that you might see out there. Even like this, crossing the legs and coming all the way up and pulling your chin to the bar. Like you feel it in the lats and stuff, and you're going to get a pump. Obviously, you're going to have muscular hypertrophy. But we want to build all parts of the body, and muscular hypertrophy alone is only going to get you so far. That's like 10% of the equation. We want to have connective tissue strength that runs through the entire body, that makes you agile and lean and mean and ready to be powerful. So when we do this hang, we're here, and then we want to have kind of a narrow grip so that the arms are kind of, you can touch your ears to your arms. Some people are really narrow. If you're long and lean, narrow shoulders, narrow hips, your arms will be really, and those are the kind of frames that have really, really good success on apparatus like the high bar. They're able to whip their whole body like a bullwhip. So if we come to the side view and I show you this hollow hold, so from the neutral position, just hanging straight and pointing the feet and keeping the ankles pinched together and relaxing the arms. So not bending the elbows like this, but relaxing them. Because like I said, the shoulder joint is designed to push, to do our handstands, to flare the arms to the side, but the shoulder joint is also designed to keep your arm attached to the rest of your body. And then there's all sorts of muscles running all through the shoulder connecting there, like the lats. And so if you want to have a massive back and incredible lat strength and grip strength and bicep strength and tendon strength, hangs, and then the next phase of training that we'll get to in a moment. So we're on the piece right now where the shoulder is connected together to keep the arm attached to the body, and it's meant to hang and climb and everything else. And so we're relaxing the shoulder joint here and letting all of that pressure go down into that joint. Then, like we did on the floor, we're flexing the back, and look what happens. My legs are rising, and the amount of tension that I feel through my arms increases. Like if I had to say on a scale of 1 to 10, just jumping up on the bar, of how much pressure I felt just on a neutral hang, I would say like a 1.5 or a 2. Then whenever I start to curl into that hollow position, I would say it probably jumps up to like a 3 or 4. You can literally feel the pressure within your shoulder joint increase. And then I'll show you this position too. This is from yoga. I think it's called a child's pose, and we use this, or we call it a cat stretch. So after we've done arching and bridge work, then we'll come here and we'll fold in half and kind of let those shoulders drop down. Now, if you notice this here, imagine holding the bar in this position, okay? That is your tuck hang. So notice how my knees are really close to my chest. So that is a preparatory move. I have to talk about how a lot of these moves are like Lego blocks, and everything in our warm-up. We have about 36 moves in our warm-up that everyone memorizes, and it lays the groundwork and foundation for everything else. And you can cut and paste all of these together. You can assemble these like Lego blocks into more advanced strength and skill. And so if you take that position, a cat stretch, then imagine that you're hanging on the bar. So we're neutral. Then we go to hollow, pressure increases. Then we bring the knees up as high as possible, relaxing the shoulder joint as well. So that's another position of pressure that you're putting the shoulders into. And then, of course, the lats and every grip strength and everything else is being built with the additional forces. Okay? And so then the last position for the core that I demonstrated was what? Put it in commas. What was it, Adam? Were you paying attention?
Pike.
The pike. He was. He's on it today. By the way, did you do your coaching homework?
Not yet, watching Major Pain.
Adam has to watch Major Pain. That's his coaching homework. Not that we're going to implement those strategies, but there's some good takeaways from there.
Humor's great, coach.
Huh?
Humor's a great coach.
So we're going to do the last position. So straight, hollow, tuck, and then the pike. And the pike doesn't need to go up that high. It can just extend to here in an L, and you're going to feel a massive amount of pressure, more than you're used to. And I've heard about injuries taking place when people go and do things that they shouldn't be doing because they haven't laid the preparatory work that I've talked about, or they're mistaking videos for instruction, and they're approaching things with a negative lack mindset, and that's going to cause all kinds of mayhem in your training and in your life. So make sure that you're approaching things positively, and you're going to have great success. I promise you that.